Hi, welcome to Comic Talk. I'm Joshua.
And I apparently can't say my name or Sleepy Reader will be disappointed.
It is what it is. This is our weekly pull list review for July 27th. All right, well, this week we just had 3. So that's kind of nice for once. We've been getting a whole bunch every week, it seems like. Maybe that's just confirmation bias. I don't know. But this week we have Action Comics number 960, I think. Then that number is ridiculous. I can't believe people wanted that back. It's so silly.
Bring back the old numbering.
It's like, why?
Come on. I want to put them together.
I do have something else to say about that, but let's go on first. We'll come back to it. Jupiter's Legacy 2, issue number 2. And also, I'm going to get these out of order. Archie, number 10. Okay, so Superman Action Comics, number 960.
Mm-hmm. He's fighting Doomsday.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Wonder Woman shows up.
Yeah. She does.
I kind of alluded to the fact that I had something else to say about this. It just made me think of something with this number. The one thing about having like 960 is it does sort of avoid the thing about people thinking that they have to start from the beginning.
Right, because there's no way you could ever...
Yeah.
Well, I guess I have to go buy 959 other issues for this one.
Right.
Or I can enjoy this.
So it is kind of nice. I can see the appeal of the high numbers, the really high numbers like this. But once you've committed to like, okay, now we're back at number 1, you're kind of, as a publisher, screwed into rebooting at 1 a lot. Which we've talked about, I think, in the past about the pluses and minuses of that and how it's okay, but... how it doesn't really bother us, but just saying like 960 does kind of solve that in a way, because you see 960 and you go, well, I guess I should just start here.
I think their motivation for it is like there's like this whole legacy thing about the number or whatever.
Right.
Which I just don't care.
Who cares?
So, I mean, I guess it's nice because of that reason, because people aren't like, but again, I don't know if people usually like wait for new number 1s if they're new readers.
Well, I think a lot of people do. I think a lot of people
probably go out trying to find number 1s, but it's like,
well,
I have to wait for the series to have a number 1 again. So I guess I'll try to get into comics again in like 6 months or something. Like I don't think.
Well, but I think they will search out the number 1. They'll pick a series to start with that says number 1.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Instead, if they say, well, I read Moon Knight number 7, or I could read Supergirl number 1. I'm more interested in Moon Knight, but I'll be behind, so I'll read Supergirl number 1 because it's a number 1 and I'll be at the front. So
they could make them feel like they'll just never be caught up on that, though, because there's 960.
It's true.
I don't know. I don't know psychology.
I don't either. Let's talk about Action Comics number 960. Yeah, so this is Jurgens, Kirkham, and Areola. Just so they know.
So it was okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty lukewarm on Action Comics so far.
I liked it more up to this issue because I felt like it was like standard capes just plus a little extra, but I didn't feel like I got the little extra out of this issue.
I didn't either. It's very middling title this week. I completely agree. There was a certain degree of extra quality in the writing. I think that you can put it in a good way, like capes plus a little, but this is not it anymore already.
I like the art a little bit more in this issue than the last one. It seems a little bit more penciled. In both of the Superman books, we've been getting like super digital, super everything. Yeah, so it was cool to see like some line work and sketchiness and stuff like that. Art went up a little bit, writing went down a little bit.
Yeah, there's just nothing really to get excited about with this issue.
No, I feel like I could have not read it and probably been fine.
Yeah, just a quick synopsis and jump to the next one.
Probably not even that.
Yeah, probably don't even need that. Yeah.
And
agreed.
On that note, even the last issue that we read, I don't know that I necessarily needed to read that.
Yeah, I agree. There's just not that much to like here. I'm on the fence of even bothering with this one. Superman has been good. I think. I mean, compared to this, like I think.
See, but I had the opposite feeling.
Really?
I thought action was a little bit better because it was like that plus a little, whereas the Superman book was just more of like straight Superman stuff.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we're kind of on the fence about both of them, I guess.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to revisit that at the end of the month then.
Sure.
Okay. That's pretty much all I have to say about this one.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on then. Let's talk about Jupiter's Legacy 2. Let me move my fingers for the YouTube viewers. Issue
amazing.
Number 2, Mark Millar and Frank Quietly.
I want to hang out with that guy. So, this is continuing. They're trying to get the bad guys together to combat the badder guys. So, building like a team of anti-heroes. And the guy on the cover is like super powerful and is being guarded by somebody, so they had to go like get him out of that. That was the main meat and taters of this.
Well, there's 2 stories happening at once.
And then the China thing.
Right, which I liked a lot.
That was amazing.
And I did feel like there was so much flair in how the story about getting the guy on the cover played out. Like, it just had such a flair of the dramatic and fun to it that it did overshadow what's probably the more interesting and better written story for the backup story. I mean, it's all together, but it's basically the backup story, right?
Sure.
It kind of overshadows it when really thinking back on it, the other part is probably a lot more nuanced and interesting.
Oh, definitely. The reason that the first part stuck out to me was that this character is just like so Millar. Mm-hmm. Like, it was almost to the point where I was like, well, I hope he doesn't like take this too far and like fuck up the series, because we liked it because he was like moving away from that,
right?
You know. But then you have like, what was it, like a kitten riding a unicorn or something just in the middle of the fucking page, and it was awesome.
It was.
So as long as like this like zaniness, I guess, is confined to this one character, I think it's awesome.
I do too.
I just hope it doesn't spread beyond that.
And it was just kind of a psychedelic issue too, because we're dealing with the mind stuff, like characters that can fuck with your mind, and they both using it in really fun ways, and also really well illustrated on the page in very interesting ways by Quietly, with like these constructed cubes and pulling curtains open in reality, and just a lot of really mind-bendy kind of stuff that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, super tight. But yeah, I agreed on the second story. That was really... It was probably the more substantial, I guess, part of this. And I feel like the main... what's the asshole kid's name again? Is it Brandon or something? Yeah. I feel like this is like a big step issue for him, because up to this point I've been under the impression that, you know, his uncle was basically just fucking with his head, and he was like the face for that. Right, whatever. But in this one, like, you really get to see like who he is now, and the fact that his uncle doesn't even really have to fucking pull the strings, because he's like goddamn crazier than he is.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. He's sort of a grenade that somebody's pulled the pin on now.
Right.
You know, he's just going completely off the deep end, which all of the other, like the protagonists of the book all talk about it, and kind of you get the feeling that they knew that he was unstable already, and they're expecting this to happen, because they're like, yep, he's off his rocker now.
It finally happened.
It happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the way that story is progressing is actually a lot more nuanced. He's, you know, turning into this ultra dick to his wife. He's making really bizarre, like, political decisions, and everything's just going
drastic.
Yeah, everything's just going completely off the rails. He's using force and his powers to, you know, just knock aside anybody that's fucking with him.
Sure.
I think it's really going to be an interesting culmination of the story here.
The one little bit of Millarness that I did get from that part of the story, now that I'm thinking about it, is, what was it, like the Baptist Jihad Alliance? Yeah, that's pretty Millar.
Yeah, it was pretty fun though.
Yeah.
I got a good laugh out of a Baptist terrorist, you know. It makes a certain amount of sense in this world that's what you would get.
Yeah. I mean, that's cause and effect.
Well, and we're from Wichita, so we have a lot of experience with
Fucking abortion ban, man.
Right, yeah, exactly. The George Tiller, and, we have experience with, like, Baptist terrorism, so it didn't feel that far-fetched to me,
Right, yeah. Well, I guess it was more like the alliance between the two, but again, if you, like, banned all religions,
Mm-hmm.
that's what you get.
Right.
So, anyway, I'm gonna move on.
Okay.
Talk about some fucking Archie now.
Let's talk about Archie. Yeah, this is Archie number 10, Wade and Fish, right? It's still Fish, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Well, Ronnie's dad's running for mayor, and then one of his other teachers is running for mayor, and there's like a whole bunch of shit that happens that is not supposed to, big surprise, and then like he tries to fix it, and shit gets fucked up more, and...
Yeah, number one...
When you describe it like that, it doesn't sound...
It doesn't sound like much.
Right, but I really, really, really enjoyed this issue.
I did too. I think it mostly comes down to Wade's really deft crafting of how he unravels this story.
Yeah.
With Archie as narrator telling you the story, and how he constantly refers back to things like, I've already given you a hint, and I've already shown you what's happening, and he keeps going back to these different ideas, and it kind of rolls along, and by the end, you know the next step before it happens, but you don't feel like anything was spoiled.
Right.
Which is really hard to do. It's hard to foreshadow so strongly your story
without giving everything away,
without ruining the story, and he manages to do it here in a really fun way.
Yeah, definitely. And just his... I feel like he's a good comedy writer, which I did not predict at all.
Right.
But I laughed for so long in the scene where the teacher was like, "How?
Yeah.
How did you do this?"
Yeah.
And you just look at that panel and it's like, God damn it!
Yeah, the comedy.
Yeah.
All the way through this is really strong. I had multiple laugh out loud moments. This has been the funniest book this month for me. Usually,
we missed Ant-Man.
We did.
By the way.
We did.
Well, the shop missed Ant-Man on our behalf.
Yeah.
We tried.
So we're still waiting on it. We might, if we have a short week, get back to it when we get it in. Who knows? We might just talk about it next month. But I mean, usually, I Hate Fairyland is usually the funniest thing we have. Yeah. Sometimes Astonishing Ant-Man, but this one was really funny this time.
Yeah, crushed it.
Yeah.
I mean, it is very slapsticky, but it's almost in a British way, where it's almost like highbrow slapstick. It's a very odd combination. Yeah, but he totally nails it.
And that has a lot to do, I think, with Fish as well.
Oh yeah, her ability to.
You're right with the slapstick. It's almost Python-esque, right? And it's definitely in this mixture of deftly written but then slapsticky presentation.
Right.
Right. It's this really clever intermingling that could be missed by maybe a less involved reader. It could just all look like slapstick and seem very surface level, but if you're paying attention to how it's constructed and how deftly put together it is, the slapstick just really takes it over the top. And really, again, kind of a similar way to a lot of old British comedy like Monty Python, where the casual observer sees the slapstick and goes, this is really lowbrow, but then you realize that the way it's constructed is actually pretty intellectual. It's pretty intelligent.
Not to mention you get to see the ridiculous side of the opposite end of the spectrum, how people interact and how one thing can be taken out of context and everything, where you almost get just life itself has that kind of slapsticky kind of thing to it, in the most intricate situations that we're involved in. It's all fucking ridiculous.
Right.
So why not have somebody trip over a rake like they're telling you about it?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's also just so human.
The character, interpersonal dialogue and just the character drama in this was really strong.
Yeah. I continue to be impressed with Archie. It's people think it's funny. Some of our viewers have mentioned it's so weird to see you guys talk about Archie like this, but I'm telling you, this is a great comic. It's really well written. It's it's way up there. It's really phenomenal.
Yeah, the only bad thing about it is the last 5 or 6 pages.
Right. There's a waste. You're paying for some pages that are just old Archie. I haven't read them every month. I've read about half of them, and I always think, you know what? I'll give another one a shot. About every other month, I go, I'll give this back part is shot.
Sure.
It's never worth it. I always am like, I shouldn't have wasted my time reading that. It's not good.
Really, I think they should try to distance themselves from that shit instead of trying to sell collections, I guess, by putting old stories in the back of their new shit.
Yeah.
You know?
I do like... The thing that makes me read it about every other time is that Wade, he talks about it first and really goes into some detail about how it was written and why. And I think it is an interesting perspective to see somebody so prolific like Wade to take the time to look at it and kind of give his perspective of what he thinks about it and why it's worth even bothering to look at. But it's definitely like a historical artifact. It's, like he mentions in here, this guy wrote like 40,000 stories or, some 10,000 or some ridiculous amount that, of course, none of them are going to be that great. I mean, you can't be that prolific. Wade is prolific. And he himself said, like, I've only written like 2,000 or something like that, right? In 30 years, this guy did like 10,000. So it's not possible to be that prolific and write that many stories and make them that great, especially when at the time they were kind of throwaway digests at the grocery store.
Yeah.
But
making books for kids.
Right. But a lot of this Archie stuff was very influential. So it is kind of cool to see it and understand, like 40 years ago people were reading this, but it never ends up feeling like it was worth my time to read it. And we haven't addressed that, I don't think, in a long time. So I'm glad we talked about that, because it is kind of a waste of, 6 pages every week or every month.
I've read like one of them and I was like, this is fucking stupid.
They're just not very good. Wade's commentary makes them better. You can almost just read Wade's commentary about it and then not read it. It's just about as good. But I agree, they could pull that out and just leave it off, charge the same amount, and I wouldn't care at all.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, we're out of books. Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. What's the other one I'm forgetting about?
Oh, I don't know. We got so many. We have a Reddit that we hardly ever do anything with. Like occasionally I put stuff there. We made that for people. By the way, I think we have a link to it. Let's talk about that since this is short. We have a Reddit that we were hoping people would use to talk about things, maybe, or comment there, because it's a better place to like comment than here. So I mean, if you comment here, cool. But just so you know, it is there. You can follow the link and subscribe to it, and we would love to get feedback there. If you want more long form feedback, more discussionary kind of stuff, if you post there, we will talk a lot more in depth probably than we do here, just because the format here is bad, right? You comment and then somebody else comments and then you're lost. Like, where did it go? But that forum gives us an ability to really create a tree structure to have longer conversations. So
it's organized. So
if you'd like to have a longer conversation about comics, about our show, ask questions, things like that, you can go there, create a topic, and it's cool. It doesn't just have to be us posting the videos.
Yeah.
So that would be awesome. If not, cool. Just saying. Peace out.